Is this a make or break year for Logan Webb's future with the Giants? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Sowles. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show on Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento River Cats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are discussing Buster Olney's list of top 10 pitchers and where Logan Webb falls on that list, and that gets us into a conversation about his future on the Giants. We're also breaking down Patrick Bailey as he has made some adjustments to his right-handed swing. And last but not least, spring training report, the first spring training report, things that have come out, things that are being reported, things that are happening out there in Arizona as we get ready for the first game of the Cactus League. So let's get right on into it. So this is a positive thing. Don't get me wrong. Buster Olney has put out this list on ESPN, and Logan Webb is the 8th pitcher that he has for top 10 at each position. This is for the pitchers. So he's got Logan Webb 8. Okay, so the other names that he has on this list, obviously, number 1 is Tarek Skubal. Number 2 is Paul Skeens. Number 3 is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Number 4 is Garrett Crochet. Number 5 is Christopher Sanchez. Number 6 is Hunter Brown. Number 7, Max Fried. Number 8, Logan Webb. Number 9, Chris Sale. And number 10, Jacob deGrom. And this is the breakdown from Buster. Webb is the sort of workhorse starter who is becoming increasingly rare in Major League Baseball. At a time when few pitchers reach 200 innings, Webb cares about that milestone, about taking the ball and keeping it late into the game and into late innings. He has compiled 627 and 2/3 innings over the past 3 seasons and led the majors in starts each of the past 2 years. So Logan Webb is just an old school cat when it comes to how he handles his starts and his workload, things like that. We know he's doing the World Baseball Classic. The Giants were kind of iffy on that, but hey, you got to let him do his thing, represent his country, and it's a great opportunity for him to get some high leverage baseball in. And the reason I say that is because Logan Webb hasn't had very much throughout his time with the Giants. Obviously, he has that season. We all talk about 2021, but that's it, people. That is it. He started 2 games in 2021 when they made the postseason, okay? And he threw 14 and 2/3 innings, and that's it for his career. That was back in 2021. That was essentially 5 years ago. And he's been with the Giants since 2019. Okay, so 2019 to 2025, one series. And we had this conversation in the offseason. A lot of people were upset about it. And the conversation of, hey, could the Giants look to move Logan Webb, something like that? I don't think the Giants are going to move Logan Webb. I don't think they should move Logan Webb. But it just is the facts of the league. When you have somebody that gets to that 2-year mark on his contract, conversations do happen and calls get made. Now the Giants can say, we're not picking up any calls. We have 2 years on a great deal. So we're not talking about anything. We will handle it when we handle it. And speaking of that deal, it jumps up this season, okay? So he makes $23 million this season, $23 million the next season, and then in 2028, he makes $24 million again. So there's no reason for the Giants to trade him. That doesn't mean that calls aren't going to happen. And just a couple days ago, we talked about Logan Webb, bringing up the fact that they've been basically 500 with him on the mound, with him off the mound, even though he has done so well. Last season, if you look at his stats, it just doesn't match what he's been doing. A 3.22 ERA. He was 15-11 with a 3.8 WAR. Right, he started in 34 games. He threw 207 innings, 224 strikeouts. So Logan Webb has been the most dependable guy on the Giants since he put on that jersey, and he has not seen that reciprocated in any type of way. We were talking about Justin Verlander, how Justin Verlander felt like he was getting starts wasted and he's chasing, the wins milestone, things like that. Well, Logan Webb, he's in a different, part of his career, but he's had to deal with a lot of that as well. And just because we don't think that the Giants are going to do anything, that doesn't mean that the conversation isn't going to come up. This is a really important season, I believe, for the Giants. And obviously he's under contract, but you want him to be happy. And it's less about the trade conversation. That's not even where I necessarily want to go. It's just about looking back, and the same way we talked about how the Giants used to waste Matt Cain starts, but the difference was they were still getting to the playoffs. They were still winning World Series. We don't want to look back and say that the Giants had one of the best pitchers in the league for whatever amount of time, a decade, 15 years, with nothing to show for it. And I think that was what was so frustrating this offseason about the Giants not going fully all in to get Logan Webb some help. We talk about protecting the lineup when you see a 2-hitter, a 3-hitter, a 4-hitter, and guys like that. How about protecting a rotation? And Logan Webb hasn't had a ton of protection these last couple years. Landon Roop, I'm not going to say the Giants got lucky, but Landon Roop was somebody that, they built and they prepared for this moment, and he's pitched well. You add on Robbie Ray, he hasn't necessarily been Robbie Ray that we saw of the past, but that first half of the season when he was an all-star, we did see things like that. Now you bring in two guys in Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser, and we're hoping that they'll be able to turn a corner as well as the young guys. And I don't see a lot of protection for Logan Webb. I don't see a lot of it. And it's not necessarily the same thing like you're looking at a lineup, but when you're looking at the record and winning baseball games and getting to high leverage games, the Giants had no legs to stand on as far as telling Logan Webb no as far as the World Baseball Classic. That's not to say that they would have, but they have no legs to stand on, just like the Pirates, no legs to stand on when it comes to Paul Skeens. Because these guys want to play in high leverage games. They see all these other teams get to the playoffs, right? We talk about that third wild card, all of that, and they're sitting there not able to get over the hump for their respective teams. And the Pirates, a completely different situation. But the Giants, you're in one of the biggest markets. You got money to blow, you got money to burn, and you're sitting around kind of just fixing around the fringes. So to me, this is less about the calls that they're going to get. They probably got calls this past season. It's more about keeping Logan Webb happy and keeping him in a position where he's going to compete. I know he's from Rockland. I know he's somewhat of a local guy. He did grow up an A's fan. He did not grow up a Giants fan. I know he's somewhat of a local guy, but you could also look at that and say, yeah, I crossed that list. I did the local guy thing. Now I want to go out there and compete. Obviously, including this season, he's got 3 more years on his deal, so he's not going anywhere as far as the Giants should look at this. But calls are going to come in, especially if the Giants do not make the playoffs. And it gets to a point where I'm not going to go Matthew Stafford in Detroit. It's not that bad, don't get me wrong. But it gets to a point where certain players deserve, if they're competing at a certain level, they deserve, and they're going to feel like they deserve to be on that stage. And Logan Webb has gotten on that stage once, and it was quick. He was on the stage and he was off. Talk about 15 minutes of fame. That's essentially what he got. So it's not about having a conversation about trading Logan Webb, but it is about, I believe, his happiness and not wasting his prime years. Other guys and other position players that we discuss, obviously you want to put them in good positions. We did the same thing with Mike Trout, right? And oh my goodness, Mike Trout, he spent all this time in his prime with the Angels and they did absolutely nothing. We don't want a situation like that for Logan Webb. He's 29 now. So he's about to hit 30. And the other thing about it is we know how the Giants tend to feel about guys that are in their 30s and that are wanting to get the bag. Logan Webb, the way this is lining up, you can make the argument this next contract will probably be the biggest contract he gets, right? Because you figure he'll be 31 there. That's where essentially Framber Valdez was. That's where some of these guys were, where they get that big deal at 31, which takes them to their mid to late 30s. And then after that, we'll see where they're at. So this is a very important season for Logan Webb's present and Logan Webb's future, not just with the Giants, but just his career in general. And I believe that he deserves an opportunity to pitch at the highest level so everybody can see the type of dog that he is. So I read Buster Olney, including Logan Webb on this list, thinking how many random fans would pick Logan Webb? Not because, and I know there were some other random names on this list, not because they don't respect Logan Webb, because they never see him. They never see him on the highest stage. They never see him, at the pinnacle of the game. So I'm not trying to move Logan Webb. I don't think the Giants should move Logan Webb. But at some point, you can't keep wasting these prime seasons of Logan Webb. You can't keep doing that. You could argue that it is dang near irresponsible. And every other situation where there has been a winning pitcher on a team that is not competing or is not contending at the highest level, they do end up on a different team. They do. They do. Right? Whenever you feel like that ceiling has been hit, they end up on a different team. So I want the Giants to do the right thing. I don't want them to field calls. Obviously, they're going to have to, but I don't really want them to field calls. I want them to make sure within these next couple years here, they put a team around Logan Webb that puts him in a position where he feels that he can contend and get on the highest stage and get on the biggest stage. Because this season is what it is. The only thing I'll hold out hope for is obviously you can make a trade within the season. So we're not done yet. And if this thing takes off and Adrian Hauser and Tyler Mahle and Carson Seymour, who we'll talk about later in the show, Hayden Birdsong, we'll talk about him later in the show too. If that all works out, then cool. But at some point in time, this dude deserves an opportunity for everybody to see how much of a dog he is. On the other side, let's discuss Patrick Bailey, some hitting adjustments that he's made from the right side. That's right. No shutting down the switch hitting here. Let's get to it right here on Locked On Giants. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On Giants. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Giants with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnSFGiants.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. If you're a true diehard Giants fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, and an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to LockedOnSFGiants.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Next segment with you, and we are breaking down this update on everyone's favorite catcher, Patrick Bailey. Okay, so this is from Alex Pavlovich. Patrick Bailey makes notable adjustment to improve from the right side out there in Scottsdale. Patrick Bailey's 2025 MLB season was not a strong one offensively, but you wouldn't know that if you watched a highlight reel of the Giants season. In addition to winning a second straight Gold Glove Award, Bailey provided two of the biggest moments at the plate for the Giants. He put his name in the history books in July with the rare walk-off inside the park homer against the Phillies, and 2 months later, he stunned the Dodgers with a walk-off grand slam. Bailey smiled Monday when asked which highlight he watched more often over the winter. I feel like I get tired when I watch the Phillies one, he said, so I like the Dodgers one. That second walk-off was notable for more than just allowing Bailey to become the first player in MLB history to check both of those specific boxes in one season. It came from the right side, and it was his first homer against a lefty in 2 years. Bailey hit 212 with a 5.66 OPS from the right side last season, but he responded with a quick no during a group session last week when asked if there was any thought to give up switch hitting. The other 5 catchers in camp all hit from the right side, including both young options on the 40-man roster, Daniel Susac and Jesus Rodriguez. So the Giants are positioned to limit Bailey's exposure to tough lefties if they want to, but he doesn't intend to cede any playing time. During a live batting practice session over the weekend, Bailey scorched the ball into the gap off lefty reliever Matt Gage. The swing showed off some mechanical changes made over the winter. Bailey's hands are lower, and he has a much bigger leg kick from the right side than he did in 2025. Let me just stop there. Look, y'all know I'm a bit old school. Big leg kicks scare me, man. They do. They scare me. But again, the game has changed a little bit. Let me continue. The latter adjustment came when he was doing a drill that required him to hover his lead leg in the air and then bring it down in a controlled manner. Quote, I took a couple good swings that way, and I was like, you know what? Let's just lift my leg really high and give myself more time, he said. I almost feel more athletic when it's up in the air. Pitchers do it, so it feels like an easy timing mechanism. It feels really good so far. Oh, my goodness. I'm getting worried, people. I'm imagining it. Now I need to see video of it. So, okay, so the leg is out there. I guess, is he putting it down sooner to give himself more time? I got to see this. Bailey is hopeful that the changes help him rediscover some of the results from his rookie year when he had an 8.29 OPS against lefties, but he also knows there's a long way to go on his left side, too. This is just a lot. This is just a lot. Bailey's OPS against righties last year was 615 overall. He had a 602 OPS and 6 homers, both career lows. The strange thing about Bailey's 2025 season was that he actually was one of the Giants you might most want up late in a game. I don't know about that, Pavs. He hit 290 and what were deemed high leverage plate appearances with a 7.39 OPS that was comfortably above the league average mark of 717. Bailey drove in 28 runs in 107 high leverage plate appearances and 27 in his other 345 plate appearances. The new staff is diving into those specific numbers, and Bailey is well aware of these splits. He said he enjoys the big moments, but he's working with hitting coach Hunter Mentz on trying to be more balanced and improve his swing intent earlier in games. The splits are odd, but there also might be a simple explanation. Bailey is the game's best defensive catcher and expends a lot of physical and mental energy before and early in games leading the pitching staff. At the same time, he's a first rounder who has shown flashes of being a good big league hitter. It would make sense if Bailey had a bit more focus in those tense moments late in games and was able to tap into more of his natural talent, but that's not something he's leaning on. Quote, obviously, what I do with catching a lot is a grind, but at the end of the day, a lot of other guys do it. He said, I've got to hold myself to a standard, whether it's the 9th inning or the 1st inning, each run is the same. But yeah, we're definitely kind of trying to play around with intent on each swing and just trying to be the same. Okay, I will say this. The last thing he says, I wasn't happy with either side last year, but I'm super confident this year, both right-handed and left-handed. All right, the high leverage explanation, that might be a little bit of coping, but I think I buy it. I do think I buy it that he's just more focused. You know, the same way we talk about guys that seem like they focus a little bit more when it's a contract year. I do think there is a level, y'all know I love my sports psychology. I do think there is a level of focus that he might not have earlier in games. I can buy that. I don't know that I buy the fact that he's trying to fix too much. It's the same thing with the Bryce Eldridge conversation with left field and first base. Patrick Bailey, I'm not going to make him, I don't have the power to, but I'm not going to tell him, hey, you need to stop switch hitting. I'm just going to acknowledge that there's a lot going on. Now, this is where ABS and Zach Manassian from the clip that we talked about yesterday, he didn't mention this either, but this is where maybe ABS could help Patrick Bailey because there's less to focus on from the catching perspective. So maybe it could help his hitting because he's more focused on hitting. And I thought that's where Pabs was going to go in this article, but I'll just go there myself. I think that could be something that helps him as well. Maybe not this season. I don't know, because there's a lot of different moving parts with the challenges and things like that. But moving forward, once he gets used to it, maybe that could help. Or maybe later in the season, once he is used to the ABS and how it's implemented and things of that nature. So I will buy some of that. I will not buy all of it, but he was the guy. I know Pabs kind of had the numbers there. It did seem like he did come through in certain moments, but it also felt like there were a lot of moments for him, maybe not quote unquote high leverage, but guys on base where he also didn't get it done. Maybe those weren't quote unquote high leverage situations. So we're wishing the best for Patrick Bailey. Those of you that were wondering, was he going to give up switch hitting? No, at least not yet. Let's get to the spring training report. Some more news coming out of Arizona and all the other camps. A former Giant gets signed, but it's a minor league deal. What's up with that? More Locked On Giants coming up. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year. Whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title, it adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So we have our first spring training report. I have compiled some notes that have come out from, different media members that are out there, national and local. Let's start here. This is from Alex Pavlovich. Carson Seymour, I guess, has looked really good. Carson Seymour had one of the most impressive live BP sessions yet, including a swinging strikeout of Luis Arias, who rarely strikes out. Giants desperately need a young starter or two to take a leap this spring and become an early season bullpen option. So the way Pabs is looking at this, it's not necessarily that Carson Seymour is going to be a starter. I mean, that's obviously possible. He started 3 games last season. Came over a couple years ago, actually, in the Darren Ruff trade, but it's more about just giving opportunities. Maybe he could be a starter in the future. He's 26 years old, but right now they just need arms, and they just need bullpen arms to show up and eat innings, right? And eat innings at a high level where you're not giving up home runs, doubles, walks, things like that. So good start for Carson Seymour. The name that I brought up prior to our little break was Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith signs to the Braves on a minor league deal. Yeah, a lot of you wanted Dominic Smith to stay. We were curious what was going on with him, why he hadn't signed yet, thinking if he was trying to wait it out. But Braves minor league deal, did not think that he would have to go back to a minor league deal. Thought he definitely had a better market out there. But, those are the breaks sometimes when you play a bat first position like first base. There are so many guys that you can just throw over there. And he seems like the type of guy that will do exactly what he did for the Giants. And he might start out with the Braves minor league. If he plays as well as he did with the Giants, somebody will come get him for a stretch. Injuries, just not getting that type of production from DH, first base. They will come looking for him. So we wish the best for Dominic Smith. He is going to Hotlanta. And Hotlanta, good amount of former Giants out there at this point in time. So wanted to let y'all know that as well. Buster Posey was on the Tim Kawakami podcast, and he was asked about the Dodgers, and he really didn't say much. He said the goal isn't so much to measure themselves against the Dodgers, but to put together a roster that is, quote, as complete as it could possibly be. So, okay, go out there and do it. I don't know that you did it this go round, but it could be worse, and they're going to have an opportunity to compete in the NL West. And if some of the moves that they made, the smaller moves, end up hitting for them, they're going to look like geniuses. They're either going to look like geniuses or they're going to look cheap. or they might look like cheap geniuses. I guess that's called being frugal. If you're cheap and it's a bad connotation, it's just called cheap. If you're cheap, but there's a good connotation, it's called being frugal. So the Giants will either come off cheap or frugal and genius at the end of this season. So, yeah, just some of the notes that Buster had there. Last but not least, this is from Shayna Rubin, and she just put this out about an hour ago or so. Quote, sounds like Hayden Birdsong will start the Giants Cactus League opener on Saturday. So here we go. And I like that approach. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Things were bad for Hayden Birdsong last season, but you can't hide them, right? You can't try to protect him too much. Get him out there, get his feet wet. If it doesn't go well, you can always say, hey, that's why we got you out here early, to try to figure out some things, and we can kind of go from there. So I think it's very smart for the Giants to just throw him in the pool, okay? Hopefully he's got some floaties on, or he learns how to swim. And that's pretty much what it is for Hayden Birdsong at this point in time. It should be pretty chill. I mean, I do think it's interesting that they are doing it game number 1, because even though it is Cactus League and it doesn't count, it is still the first time there'll be live action. So I do think that's them saying, look, man, you're either going to get with it or get lost. And we really don't want you to get lost, because we need you. And you were already a bit lost last season. So the Giants are not straying away from Hayden Birdsong. They're trying to do their best to flush it, get him out there, get a fresh start. Hopefully it goes well. And I think a very smart reason to do this is because early on, if I'm not mistaken, pitching is typically ahead of hitting. Do I have that right, or do I have that flipped? I believe that pitching is typically ahead of hitting early, as hitters are still getting their timing, things like that. I know pitchers, sometimes they'll start to implement different pitches as they get later into the spring training and the season. But I think I have that right. And if I do have that right, that would put Hayden Birdsong in a better position to have some early success, as a lot of these guys haven't seen live pitching like this in months. So that's the approach the Giants are taking, and I think I appreciate it. So hopefully it works out for Hayden, and we will be watching in any capacity that we can, following and reporting back on what we see, what we hear, and things like that. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I, as well as the official Locked On Giants X account as well, and our TikTok. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is for you. Get Locked On Giants ad-free, plus members only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnSFGiants@supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.